All right, so today we're talking about clothes dryers, right? And everyone thinks they're pretty straightforward, but let me tell you, a lot of folks, they don't factor in the exhaust system running out the back. That's where things get a little sticky. See, you got to know your stuff, or you'll end up with, well, more headaches than efficiency. Know what I mean? People ask all the time, why should I clean my dryer vent? And for anyone working around appliances every day or homeowners faithful about routine maintenance, it almost sounds unnecessary. Isn't that just basic home care? Well, for a surprisingly large number of people, it's really not. 96% of homeowners clean their lint filter. That's great. Almost everybody pulls off that layer of gray lint and drops the screen back in. But only 38% ever clean the duct, and just 20% ever clean inside the dryer cabinet itself. That's a huge gap. Once the machine is installed behind a wall or up in a ceiling, out of sight, out of mind. But the dryer sure depends on that air moving. See, a clothes dryer doesn't dry clothing simply by making it hot. Heat is only half the equation. The dryer has to move air. It pushes heated air right through the wet clothes, where it picks up moisture, and then forces all that moisture-laden exhaust out of the house. Airflow is the fundamental key to the whole operation. And while the lint filter captures a whole lot of stuff, it never catches everything. Laboratory research documented lint building up inside dryers even when the screen was cleaned after every single load and the vent was totally clear. Add to that, obstructions aren't always lint. Exterior wall caps get jammed up with yard debris, or birds and rodents building nests right inside the ductwork. The machine must breathe. Now, let me take a minute to lay out what actual authorities say about this. Dryer vent maintenance isn't just a recommendation from the guys who clean vents. Major fire safety groups, federal safety agencies, appliance makers, and insurance giants like State Farm, Progressive, and Allstate all publish explicit guidelines. State Farm specifically recommends annual professional inspection and cleaning of the dryer system as a primary fire prevention measure. Progressive advises regular vent cleaning to protect against house fires. Allstate builds vent inspection right into their official home maintenance checklists. Why do they all agree? Because of the raw fire safety stats. Depending on the study, we see anywhere from 14,000 to 17,000 clothes dryer fires in the U.S. every single year. The National Fire Protection Association estimates roughly 13,820 structural fires annually, and their research proved that failure to clean was a contributing factor in about one-third of those fires. Lint is extremely combustible, and dryers produce intense heat. Fire prevention isn't hype, it's basic risk management. What about your electric bill? Yeah, a restricted vent jacks up your power bill. If a load takes 2 cycles instead of 1, you're doubling the energy used for that laundry. But honestly, that extra power cost is probably the least expensive part of the problem. Think about operational wear and tear. Running double cycles means double the operating hours on the motor, the drum rollers, the drive belt, and the heating components. You're aging the appliance twice as fast, essentially cutting the life of your machine in half. And then there's the aggravation factor nobody puts on a spreadsheet. Laundry backs up. Wet clothes sit in the washer waiting for the dryer to finish. Hampers pile high, and your whole Saturday gets consumed by chores. But here's the thing, usage matters. Not every dryer lives the same life. Think about a beach house with a short 3-foot vent that gets used a few weekends a year. Now compare that to a family of 6 running 5 loads a day through a second-floor laundry with a 20-foot duct venting out the roof. Federal energy standards base average household use on 283 cycles a year, about 5 to 6 loads a week. That gives us a realistic baseline. Now look at commercial setups. Hair salons, barbershops, pet groomers, nail spas. They run towels all day long, adding pet hair, heavy lint, and continuous runtime for 6, 8, 10 hours straight. A commercial setup can accumulate a year's worth of residential lint in just a couple months. High-use systems need way more frequent attention. As Cliff Budnick, co-founder of the Dryer Vent Safety Council, puts it, usage dictates reality. Annual testing is a great baseline, but high-volume setups need evaluation more often. Now, a homeowner might say, well, my clothes are drying fine, so why worry? And hey, that's a fair point. But nobody stands next to their dryer with a stopwatch. You hit start, walk away, and go about your day. So a gradual increase in drying time, it's crazy easy to miss. The machine just runs a little longer than it did last year. Automatic sensors compensate. Clothes come out dry, so nothing feels wrong. Until it becomes impossible to ignore. The buzzer goes off, you open the door, grab a shirt, and it's still damp. So, what do? Hit start again, right? That's what everybody does. But if a normal load used to dry in one cycle and now routinely takes two, something changed. Major manufacturers explicitly point to longer cycle times, damp clothes, and excessive cabinet heat as clear warning signs that your exhaust path needs a look. But here's the real diagnostic question. Is it the dryer or is it the vent? It's not automatically, do I need vent cleaning? It's, why isn't this dryer working like it used to? Because look, a bad heating element in an electric unit can cause long dry times too. So before you call anyone, there are 3 basic checks you can do right at home. First, check the airflow outside. With the dryer running, walk out to the exterior hood and put your hand right in front of it. You should feel a steady, obvious exhaust stream, kind of like a hairdryer blowing on medium. The flap should open freely. If it's barely cracking open or the breeze feels weak, you've got a restriction. Second, try the paper test. On dryers with a top-mounted lint screen, pull the screen out while the machine is running and set an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper right over the slot. A healthy dryer should create noticeable suction that pulls that paper down and holds it tight. If it barely draws down, airflow is choked. Third, compare performance with and without the vent. For a conventional electric dryer, temporarily disconnect the transition duct from the wall and run a test load exhausting right into the room. And let me stop right here and say this clearly. Never, ever perform this test with a gas dryer. Gas dryers exhaust carbon monoxide. Disconnecting a gas dryer inside the house creates a deadly safety hazard. Electric units only. If an electric dryer struggles while hooked to the wall, but dries perfectly when disconnected, boom. You just proved the problem is in the building exhaust system. And don't forget the machine itself. Lint that gets past the filter doesn't just go down the duct. Some of it settles inside the dryer cabinet, around the burner or electric heating element. That matters because the cabinet houses all your main electrical and mechanical components. That's why a real professional evaluation looks inside the cabinet and down the pipe. Sometimes what looks like a vent issue is actually an appliance component starting to drop out. You could have a failing element, a dying thermostat, and a choked exhaust system all happening at the exact same time. Which brings us to what cleaning your dryer vent actually ought to mean. Cleaning and evaluating are not the same thing. The Dryer Vent Safety Council preaches a strict protocol. Test first, inspect second, then clean or repair based on facts. Airflow testing with proper diagnostic tools tells the technician exactly how the system is performing right off the bat, so nobody is guessing. You start with proper airflow testing to get a real benchmark on system velocity and pressure drop. Then you perform a complete visual and physical inspection from the appliance cabinet all the way out to the termination hood on the roof or exterior wall. Only after you know exactly what condition the ducting and cabinet are in do you jump in with cleaning equipment or structural corrections. So, why clean your dryer vent? Because the lint screen is only the beginning. Pay attention to your machine. Watch the dry times. Feel the outdoor breeze coming out of the hood. And if performance drops, don't just keep hitting start. Test, inspect, then fix what's actually wrong.